3A Toyota Motocross Championship presented by FMF. And it is the FMF Budds Creek National presented by Yamaha here at Budds Creek, Maryland. It is weekend number 4 of 12 in the outdoor motocross season. I'm Brian Drebber along with David Pingree and Aaron Bates and a great crowd here at Budds Creek trying to stay cool on a hazy, hot and humid day in Maryland.
Yeah, it sure is. These guys are definitely going to be in for a physical test today. It's 90-some degrees. It's humid. This track always gets very rough, lots of ruts, so very physically demanding course, and the temperatures today are going to not help them.
But a beautiful setting, and Jonathan Beasley and his crew, as usual, always doing a great job. Ricky Carmichael is here, and James Bubba Stewart is not. So that's part of the storyline. So who's going to step up to try to challenge RC? Well, we don't know yet. There is the temperature. And yes, indeed, at 10:30 in the morning, it is plenty warm here at Budds Creek Motocross Park. Now, last week, we remember, it was the Carmichael and Stewart show for a while as the two put on a great battle that lasted almost throughout Moto number 1.
Well, as we've seen all year, these two just put on a great show. The pace they've got going is unbelievable. The battles back and forth. There you see Ricky just feet off the pegs. That's how it's been all season long, and it's been so fun to watch. And this one, unfortunately, didn't end that well.
Well, Ricky Carmichael and James Stewart going after each other to the thrill of the crowd with just unbelievable passes for the lead. And then once James Stewart got out in front, the bike seized up. That was the result. And today, the result is that James will not be here.
He was sore coming into the race from the crash he had at High Point, which was even worse than that one. Here, last lap of the race, his crank snapped in half with all that centrifugal mass coming to a stop and the rear wheel. You can see it just drop the front end, and he took a punishing.
So Carmichael is way atop the leaderboard here by 14 points over Chad Reed. Davey Millsaps has been inheriting podium positions and third in the championship by his own admission because of the misfortune to James Stewart. So as we take a look at Davey Millsaps and Ricky Carmichael, let's hear from Davey.
Every time I got in practice, I don't feel good in practice, and then I've been getting good starts lately, and then once I get out there with those guys, I start following their lines and just kind of get sucked into their pace. So I think that's where it's coming from.
Well, we'll see how the young Honda rider does this weekend and against former Honda rider Ricky Carmichael. Let's go to Aaron Bates for our Progressive Direct pre-race report.
When you come to Budds Creek, there's 3 things for certain. It's going to be hot, it's going to be humid, and it's going to be Father's Day. Today I was able to walk around the pits and hear a lot of different stories that are taking place, swap between fathers and sons and how they got to be to where they're at today. And a lot of them say if it wasn't for their dads, there's no way they'd be at the level that they are today. But one of the stories that stands out the most is the story of Ricky Carmichael and his dad, Big Rick. Back when things were financially tight in '87, Ricky Carmichael was racing 60s, and his dad ended up selling his brand new Harley to purchase him a brand new 60, so he had better equipment to go out there and race on. When it's time to pay back in '97, as Ricky Carmichael had his very first full pro year, he repaid the favor and bought his dad a brand new Harley, thanking him. This brings us here to today at Budds Creek. Happy Father's Day to all you dads out there.
Well, Ricky Carmichael owing a lot to his dad, and as Aaron said, it's fathers that usually get their sons involved in racing, and that relationship lasts throughout the career.
It sure does. I think I put my dad in the poorhouse, spent every last dollar he had going to the races when I was an amateur. So big thanks to him and to all the dads out there. They all make sacrifices to get these guys to where they are.
Well, dads, we might not say it to your face, but we love you, each and every one. So as we take a look here at some early laps during the course of the weekend, the practice times, Ricky Carmichael up top, Chad Reed in the number 2 spot, and Kevin Windham third on the charts. Let's hear from Chad Reed now.
I'd love to get a moto win, just started that, and then obviously get an overall win. I feel I can do it. I know I can do it. It's just not happening. They set such a high pace at the beginning of the race, and I just need to learn the art of doing that. So once we get that down, I feel that I'll have a shot at it and see what we can do from there.
Well, the biggest part of winning outdoor national races is you got to have your heart into it. And that's one thing a lot of people question when it comes to Reed is he loves Supercross. He's amazing at it. They just don't know if his heart's into the nationals. So that's one thing he may look at trying to change if he wants to beat Ricky Carmichael. The track here at Budds Creek, always a great facility. Jonathan Beasley and these guys do an amazing job. Each year they switch the direction that the track runs. This year, it's going what is typically known as backwards. And that makes the first turn real tricky, a very tight 180-degree turn.
Ricky Carmichael has never lost here at Budds Creek in the big class. And here is our starting lineup, our Honda lineup, as we take a look at everybody that's going to take the gates. And Ricky Carmichael still the man to beat.
A lot of great names on this roster here. Obviously, everybody missing James Stewart from that, though.
32nd board is up. Big, wide starting gate. Very narrow turn number 1. Hole shot, of course, at issue here. So let's see who comes out of the center of the starting lineup to take the hole shot award. Sponsored by Racer X. Whoa, way around the outside. From the left side of the starting grid to the hole shot, we've got the inevitable pile up at the back of the field here. Looking real quick. No major contenders.
Josh Demuth in there.
Yep, Demuth, but out in front, the number 48 machine, Jeff Gibson, is our leader. Not sure if he was the one with the hole shot. In fact, the hole shot, I think, went to Barry Karsten, who's quickly back to 4th or 5th position, and Carmichael's up to 3rd. Make that 2nd as he parks it.
Yeah, he's not wasting any time getting to the front, but it's good to see a couple of privateer guys, Jeff Gibson being one of them, Robbie Raynard also right there in 3rd. That's a great ride for him. He's been getting great starts this year. He hole shot at a moto at Hangtown, pumped up a little bit, but you know, this is another great start for him. And Barry Karsten, man, that guy's been riding since there was dinosaurs around, so he's still going fast.
Ricky Carmichael up into 2nd position, now chasing Gibson. It took Carmichael a while to get loose from Robbie Raynard. And at the end of lap number 1, we've got a good start. Here comes Carmichael way wide around the outside. Gibson still holding on to the lead. Carmichael with a big drive jumps right by.
You notice that a lot of these guys that do well at these nationals also come from places where there's a lot of humidity, a lot of heat, and they're used to riding and training in these conditions. Ricky from Tallahassee, Florida. It gets real sticky down there, real hot, and he goes out and he does his work in it. So he gets to the races up here in the Northeast. It feels like a walk in the park.
Definitely humid weather. Of course, James Stewart also from down in that part of the country. But here's Ricky Carmichael now, the number 4 Makita Suzuki out in front. Never beaten here at Budds Creek in the motocross class. Looking to keep that streak alive, along with staying atop the points chart and continuing to pick up wins. Gibson going for a tear-off, still in the number 2 spot. Raynard 3rd.
Nick Way is into 4th right now. It's a great ride for him. Privateer rider has been sort of the class of the field as far as privateers go all year long, and it doesn't look like that's going to change today.
Nick Way on the number 27 bike. Thought I caught a glimpse of the number 22 Chad Reed in there as well. Blue bike, red jersey. And we'll take a look as they come over the top. Going for tear-offs all the way. Gibson for another one there on the number 48. Our early leader, and there is Chad Reed. Red outfit, blue bike on the Yamaha number 22.
You saw Ricky kind of, as he came over the top of that hill, he peeked over and looked at the guys coming behind him. He had to be looking for Reed, I would imagine. I mean, of the guys who can run his pace today, Wyndham and Reed, but probably Chad. And got a glance at where he's at. I don't think he's too worried about it at this point. Reed's got still a few guys to get through.
No sign of K-Dub just yet in the number 14 Honda, the man that won when the USGP last visited the United States in 1999. K-Dub winning the overall that weekend, and Frederick Bollet the world title. Around the outside, there comes Nick Way on the number 27, still chasing after that Kawasaki of Gibson, the early leader, Raynard, and Chad Reed going at it.
Millsaps was right there in the mix behind Nick Way, so he's also coming up. He's on the move as well.
Chad Reed around the outside on his big thumper Yamaha number 22. And then kind of parks it here on this downhill off-camber turn. That is a difficult-looking turn right there.
That turn is so off-camber. The camera angle that we've got, it's tough to really tell, but it is so steep. You can barely walk on it when they've got any type of water down on the track. You see Renard just kind of tiptoe around the inside. Looks like he's not even trying, where a guy on the bottom in that rut is really working the turn and riding hard. And they'll come out at about the same pace just because you're going so much more distance around that bottom. But a very technical turn.
Chad Reed up into 2nd position there, and pretty firmly so, as Ricky Carmichael's trying to get away. Carmichael will keep looking back. Reed's going to hope to keep him in sight. There's still a traffic jam going on back here in the spots right around the top 5.
And Nick Way goes by Jeff Gibson, and he needs to just latch onto the back of Millsaps here. Millsaps has had a great pace these last few rounds. Seems like he runs out of steam a little bit at the end of particularly the second moto, but his pace is great. So if Nick can watch his lines, pick up a little bit of speed, it'll drag him towards the front as well.
Also a glimpse of Travis Preston on the number 11 bike. That Honda sitting there on the tail end of this group. And it is Millsap setting the pace among these riders that are together. And Ricky Carmichael is our leader. Here's the Toyota leaderboard after just 2 laps. Toyota, proud sponsor of AMA Motocross. Toyota, moving forward. By Suzuki, lightweight, superior power, incredible handling. It's why champions choose Suzuki. And by Progressive Direct. Don't go underprotected. Get a dirt bike insurance quote at progressive.com or call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. Well, the number 17, Robbie Reynard. And he is running in 3rd position right now behind Chad Reed. He's got company, though. Davey Millsap's on the 118 and a host of others to join him. There's that off-camber turn again, and it is tough. It's like walking a tightrope down there.
This track's got a lot of up and down, a lot of elevation changes. It's very, very technical. You got to really focus on weighting your outside peg and just having a good feel for what your tires are doing, because particularly when they throw a little bit of water down, it can get very slick at times.
So Millsap's on the 118 around the outside now. They're side by side. It's a drag race uphill and over the top. And with the jump, it is Davey Millsaps takes the spot away from the number 17 Honda. Got a little intra-squad rivalry going here. At least 2 Hondas going after one another.
You got to wonder what's happening with K-Dub's starts. He hasn't been up at the front off a start all year, I don't think. And he's certainly got the speed to run towards the front. He's even gotten a podium, but it just seems like he's always coming from the back here lately. So I don't know what's going on there.
Notably absent among the Hondas in the lead, or out in the among the front bunch here, is the number 14, Kevin Windham. Here's Davey Millsaps running in 3rd spot. He's had a handful of moto podiums and a 3rd overall as well. So he's performing extremely well. Again, by his own admission, a lot of his good fortune is because of James Stewart's misfortunes. Millsap, boy, once he got around Reynard, he got gone.
He's definitely got the pace of the leaders. He's still kind of working on being able to maintain that pace for the entire 35 minutes, but it's not a problem for him to go that fast. He had a couple crashes at the beginning of the year, started trying to learn that pace and when he needed to let off on that 450 and give it a little bit of respect, but I think he's got that figured out for the most part, and now he just needs to get his fitness level there, and he's going to start winning motos.
Kind of an all-Honda battle at this particular area of the race between Reynard Millsaps and the number 27, Nick Way. They're all battling for 4th position. Well, Reynard and Nick Way battling for 4th position. Millsaps is left and is 3rd behind Chad Reed, who's 2nd behind Ricky Carmichael, who's 1st.
You saw those deep ruts coming up to Henry Hill right there. That's actually what did Doug Henry in back in 1995. Those ruts caught his feet, tore him off the pegs, and he went off that hill, sort of laying on the seat.
Rider down, one of the Hondas on the track. It is Reynard, number 17. So while he was losing positions, now the bike is laying on its side on the racetrack, and Robbie's hurt.
Robbie's had a lot of problems with his shoulders over the years, and it kind of looks like that's what he's moving around. So may have just dropped onto it and sort of punched it out of place a little bit.
Now short of breath and sitting down. Now Ricky Carmichael, the leader, out in front on the Makita Suzuki number 4. He is the points leader, the defending champion, undefeated here at Budds Creek. And what more do you have to say about Ricky Carmichael that hasn't been said already?
Well, he's the GOAT. You know, one thing about him, some of these races we go to, they may never get a chance to see Ricky again. He may not come back to their track because he's only going to do a partial schedule in 2007. But like you've mentioned, he's been undefeated here at Budds Creek. Seems like he really enjoys this track, so I imagine next year this will be one of the stops he makes.
And we'll please explain the term GOAT stands for greatest of all time, and he's certainly a candidate for that nomination, along with some of the greats that have come before him. Come on back. Here's our Toyota leaderboard. The AMA Toyota Motocross Championship here. We take a look a little bit deeper in the field. Number 11, Travis Preston. This is 5th place at issue. Preston's got the spot right now.
That's K-Dub finally coming into the screen there. He's working his way from the back. Like I said, I don't know what's going on off the gate, but he's got the timing, the reaction time of a old rhinoceros or something. needs to work on that a little bit, but.
Well, while he's trying to move forward, he's also got company behind him here. So as Travis Preston and Kevin Windham battle, let's go to Aaron Bates for a mid-race report.
Well, you're going to notice this weekend that there's a new mechanic for the number 14 of Kevin Windham. His former mechanic, who is mechanic for former champion Ivan Tedesco, has moved on. He's going to be staying off the road for the rest of the season. And they're bringing Alex Ewing, his new mechanic, on board to finish off the season for him, hoping it's going to give Kevin some new motivation, rejuvenation to turn this season around.
Brett Meyering, the former mechanic, apparently needing to change his lifestyle a little bit, stay home rather than this road-weary life that these guys lead. Kevin Windham going around Preston right there. So yes, indeed, he's moving forward, but the mystery is, why not be there at the beginning? We're used to seeing Kevin running up front from the start.
Yeah, he's obviously a front runner. He's one of the best riders in the world, period. He just hasn't been getting the starts to run with those guys from the beginning. So I'm not sure what the problem is there.
Well, it makes your job a lot harder when you have to come up from the back. We've seen Ryan Villapoto do it a number of times with success, and Kevin Windham trying to do the same.
Well, when you get to that level, though, and you've got guys like Ricky Carmichael and Chad Reed in front of you, you're not going to come from 15th and catch and pass those guys. It's just not going to happen. They're too good. They work too hard at what they do. And Kevin's an amazing rider, but you're just not going to catch those guys. So if he wants to race with them and beat them, he needs to start with them.
Ricky Carmichael all alone on the racetrack for the most part. That's how far it is back to second place. So Carmichael can pick his lines carefully, showboat a little if he feels so inclined, and otherwise it's a practice day more or less for him with the lead that he has right now. And you have to admire the hard work that he puts in that allows it to look so easy on race day.
Yeah, there may not be a battle for the lead here with Stewart gone, but you just got to watch Ricky and appreciate how fast he goes and the work he puts in, like you said, and his talent on a motorcycle is the bottom line. It's like watching Jordan go out and have a little shoot around before a game. You know, you just got to stand there and go, wow, this guy's amazing.
Handling that off-camber turn with relative ease. Ricky Carmichael continuing to put good turns together, working through some traffic already here in the early stages and going for a tear-off in midair.
Yeah, he's got a little nervous tick there where he reaches up and grabs the front of his helmet. I'm not sure what that's all about. Maybe it just kind of adjusts his goggles on his face there, or, you know, maybe he's got some sweat dripping in his eyes. Not sure, but he's done that for a long time. He reaches up, grabs his face mask. He'll do it off a triple or off a jump where he's in the air and just got a second to sort of take a break and refocus. Final lap, and finally some company in the form of lap riders here as Ricky Carmichael will pick his way through them as carefully as possible. Of course, they know he's coming and have been warned so by the corner workers. A few of them geek up a little bit and park it right in front of him there, not realizing there were two. They bump into one another. And another lap rider moves over for him nicely. So Ricky Carmichael on his way to what we expect will be the checkered flag here, moto number 1. Not challenged. He had to make a couple of passes to get to the lead, but he did all of that on the very first lap. He's got the number 88 for company here on the final lap. Bobby Garrison out of Sparks, Nevada. Certainly somebody will take his picture and he'll be able to show, hey, I was right there with RC for a while. Not a lot of guys can say that.
He hung there with him for a few turns. Good job. But Ricky Carmichael continues to be, even in what he is now calling his last run at a full season of outdoor motocross.
You got to respect these fans sticking it out on the hillsides in the sun, just cooking. It's so hot and humid here in Maryland that, you know, just to sit out there and stand in the sun is rough.
Well, all of the shady spots are packed like sardine cans, so the fans have found the good places to watch where they're allowed to do so in the shade. Ricky with a little salute there. I think he knew there was a camera on that turn. Ricky Carmichael heading for the finish line on moto number 1 here with an enormous lead. And I'm still impressed with the way number 88 Bobby Garrison's hanging in there with him on the final lap.
Well, no disrespect to Bobby, but I think RC's got it on cruise control. He's got his hand off the bars most of the time. A 25-second lead you see there from his mechanic. Well, maybe Aaron will ask Chad how he can make up 25 seconds for the next moto.
Well, that is going to be a question. Not sure if there's an answer for it, however. Ricky Carmichael is just that good. And only when James Stewart is around, at least recently, have we seen a battle for the lead. At this point, it's Ricky Carmichael putting on a clinic in front of the fans here at Budds Creek, showing them why he remains undefeated in the motocross class at this famous track.
It's still important for Reedy to come out and put in some good rides. You know, he's still in the process of negotiating his contract for next year. Although he showed interest in riding Supercross only, it's an option for him at this point. So he still needs to come out and show that he can ride well.
Ricky Carmichael on the number 4 Makita Suzuki, getting the applause after the finish. It's almost anticlimactic when he crosses the line. Most of the action took place early in Moto number 1, and it is Ricky Carmichael who has emerged the winner once again. Is in the books. Ricky Carmichael has emerged as the winner and remains undefeated. As we take a look at some of the facilities, including a great viewing area for some of the disabled veterans that Jonathan Beasley invited here last year. They didn't really have a place to sit. He recognized that, spent some money, gave him a great spot to watch.
Yeah, he's always a great ambassador for the sport, doing wonderful things for spectators, fans, racers, the sport itself. So it's always great to go back to his course. He does a great job back there.
Our Suzuki motocross results there, looking at all of them. And let's hear from Chad Reed, runner-up.
This track has been really good to you in the past. What would it mean to you to take an overall?
Oh, it'd be huge. It'd be, man, I've never had one in outdoors. I've had a moto win, always at Ricky's cost. But, man, I'd love to go out there and earn it, you know, just put some good laps together. So, man, he's a good guy and a good rider and keeps me motivated. Glad we got him out here.
Good luck in your second moto.
Our Racer X Hole Shot Award goes to number 84, Barry Carson. Wow.
It's hot, man, and quite a different temperature from last weekend. But Chad's riding good this weekend. You know, he rides this track really good in the years past. He's been really good here, too. So we got our work cut out for us, the second moto, and, you know, just hopefully James for a speedy recovery. And I definitely have to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers, and especially mine.
Hey, you got to turn around and give a little show for us here for the dads on the back of his pants, representing for Father's Day.
Nobody does more to protect your right to ride than the American Motorcyclist Association. Every racer on the track's an AMA member, so how about you? Well, you can call 1-800-AMA-JOIN or visit AMADirectLink.com. The AMA writes, riding, and the best part, racing. Very special Between the Motos this week.
Represented us at the race this year in the building.
Well, thank you very much. Team USA. You got to recognize that that's kind of a switch for an old horse cavalry.
Last week, a big announcement came out of Italy, news that American motocross fans have been waiting since Ronald Reagan was president to hear. The Motocross to Nations is coming back to the U.S. in 2007. After the debacle in 2002 at Competition Park that led to the postponement of the race and Team USA's eventual withdrawal that year, the American motocross community has been diligently working to bring it back, especially people like Suzuki's Roger DeCoster and promoter Jonathan Beasley, who will host the event at his Budds Creek Motocross Park in September 2007.
Well, it's good, you know, it's time that we get it back here. It's been a long time, and it's good for the American fans to be able to see the nation and to see all the riders from the other countries.
It's been sort of a dream since Unadilla in 1987. That was the first one I'd seen, and been, you know, working to get there. We ran GPs when GPs got cost prohibitive, and it's been a pretty cool run, and I'm excited.
The FIM, they want to send it to the US, but there's not so many takers, you know, there's not so many promoters that are interested in doing it because it's an event that is very expensive to do, and in the US it's hard to get more people than for a national, and so you need a promoter like Jonathan that is a real enthusiast, that, you know, he's not worried so much about making money on the event, but he just wants to do it because he is an enthusiast.
It is a big gamble, and it's just, you know, it was something that, you know, my whole life I wanted to grow up and have a Grand Prix when I first started riding, you know, there would be 30,000 people at a USGP and 3,000 people at an AMA National, and so Roger DeCoster is the one who learned it all for me. I used to love watching the Trans Am and Europeans, so I was always more geared towards that, you know, arena than the U.S. arena. But our guys have come so far since the 70s that now really U.S. fans, I hope, will be, you know, amenable to coming to see something like this. It's a part of history, and you know, they'll actually be able to experience it. This is the top check mark off my list of things to do in life. It is.
Well, that's exciting news that the Nations is coming here to the States, but I got to tell you, I don't think the Gipper had any idea what he was holding in his hands.
Ricky Carmichael, Moto 2 coming up. A few fans sitting in the shade and enjoying a laugh here, getting ready for Moto number 2 at the FMF Budds Creek National presented by Yamaha. Let's go to Aaron Bates for another Progressive pre-race report.
Well, as these guys line up behind me for their second moto, you're going to notice a couple of things just by my appearance. It's hot, it's humid, and I tell you what, these guys are all complaining that this is the most demanding track on this circuit. They've all said the uphills, the downhills, the elevation changes, the soft soil dirt, the hard packed dirt, and not to mention all the rest of this heat that's coming down on top of these guys. Is going to be survival of the fittest for all of them.
Okay. Well, it's hot, and you can see just by the shine on Aaron's forehead there that everybody's sweating, just standing around no matter what you're doing. So you're going to have to be fit to get through the second moto. The second moto is particularly tough.
Well, our Honda starting lineup pretty much the same as it was for Moto number 1. These are the start positions where all the men will take their start for that second moto. And indeed, as the day wears on and the heat and humidity take its toll, it is going to be a survival mode for a lot of the riders. But for the ones that win, it's just going to be still who's fastest. That's what counts. Here comes RC out of the hole like a shot. And I think he's going to get the whole shot award. No, I'm not sure. He might have been passed before the white line.
It looked like he kind of hit the brakes and the back end swapped back on him. Someone else got it. Looks like Balby.
And the number 48 again, Gibson out in front, as Jeff Gibson from Blacklick, Ohio on his number 48 machine has proven that Moto 1 was not a fluke.
He's got his starts dialed. He started up front both motos, and I don't know if he actually got that whole shot, but he's leading it again right now, and there's not a lot of guys that get actual laps led at a national, and he's going to get a couple here.
Side by side in the air behind Jeff Gibson. We've got a whole traffic jam. Ricky Carmichael's there in the number 4 position, and the top 5 have started to edge away just a little bit from the rest.
That's good to see all the players right there. You see Reed going into the lead. Carmichael's there. Millsaps is right behind him. So we've got a battle shaping up.
Gibson now back to second position as Chad Reed has taken the lead here. Ricky Carmichael third. So he's going to try to get by Gibson in the green jersey on a Honda. Chad Reed, your leader here at the presented by Yamaha Budds Creek National. Number 22, haven't seen him out front for a while. Ricky Carmichael's right behind him now. Gibson slips back to third and in danger of losing that. So Carmichael chasing Reed here on lap number 1.
Reedy pulls the tear off there. You know, most guys would say they'd like to be at this stage of a moto right behind a guy. They can watch his lines, and you have the advantage of not having the pressure on you to set the pace and sort of cover your line. But when it's Carmichael, you just want him behind you all the time. You get him in front of you, and it's hard to even keep him in sight. So I think Reed's in a good position right now. If he wants to race with Ricky, well, he's got him behind him.
Well, it's always an advantage to make the guy pass you in order to win the race. So Chad Reed is going to try to put a wide load sign on the back of that Yamaha, use up as much racetrack as he can, and of course maintain his speed. They weren't that far apart in practice times, nor particularly in lap times. It just adds up what Carmichael does to you over the course of all the laps in a moto.
Yeah, particularly at the end of the moto. You start to slow a little bit, just a second or two a lap. Ricky can sometimes get faster. He uses his fitness to his advantage. He learned that early on in his career, and he continues to use that. His fitness is his biggest weapon.
Not unlike a Stewart-Carmichael battle, the two leaders have pulled away from the rest of the field making it look almost like a match race here at Budds Creek. Reed continues to lead Carmichael. That's how far back third is.
You can see up there at the top by the first turn, there's a bunch of little pebbles in the ground. It's just sort of a rocky little spot where there's not a lot of rocks in the rest of the track, but just right there. And that roost on the 450 with those little bits of gravel in it, man, that does not feel good. I even saw a couple little spots on Ricky's nose when he's on the podium there. It looks like he might have got hit. It's like someone shot him in the face with a little BB gun.
Probably feels like a machine gun nest coming up to meet you there at the top of that. So Chad Reed leading Ricky Carmichael and doing a pretty good job of it here. As the Team Makita Suzuki number 4 is getting a little bit closer. It's going to be side by side, and there he goes, reaching for the chin piece on the helmet again.
That's he almost went down right there.
Well, it just shows you it could happen. So it's not a foregone conclusion that either of these two men will win Moto number 2. And for Ricky Carmichael, trying hard, takes the outside line the long way around. Reed still gets a good drive off the corner and hangs on to the lead.
How hard must it be to just ride your own line and try to worry about your own lines and where you're going when you got Carmichael all over you like that? It's got to be so tough.
Chad Reed parks it. Carmichael draws up a little bit closer. Pretty much even drive off and up the hill. Reed still holding on to it over the top. 2 different ruts. And Chad Reed is your leader on the Yamaha. Here comes the Suzuki. A Carmichael up inside. Nope, can't make it work there. They jump together. That's a great shot.
You can see them both scrubbing off that jump. You know, what that does is allow those guys to keep their bike's trajectory lower. If they hit it straight, the bike wants to just go up. If you turn your front wheel and lean the bike down, push into the ground right as you're coming off the face of the jump, chop the throttle, it throws the trajectory of your bike forward and out rather than up. Saves those guys just a fraction of a second, but doing that around the entire circuit over each jump saves you a second, 2 seconds a lap. So a lot of that sideways stuff is not for show. It's actually to shave lap times off.
Get the wheels back on the ground quicker. You can steer and get on the gas just that much sooner as well. So it is important. While air is a big part of motocross, it's on the ground where the steering and driving is done. Here's our Toyota leaderboard. Reed holds off Ricky Carmichael at Budds Creek. Moto number 2. And they have pulled away from the rest by a significant margin. Chad Reed's mechanic pretty happy with the situation right now.
It's good to see Reedy putting in a strong ride, riding with a lot of heart. He doesn't want to let Ricky by. You got the Yamaha guys all out clapping and cheering, and you can tell he's pushing, just riding the edge of the lines and scrubbing jumps. You can just see him pushing harder than he has been at other times this year.
So Chad Reed on the 22 Yamaha, Carmichael on the number 4 Suzuki, and they are very close together here. Moto number 2. Carmichael looking around the outside. This is a chance for him to do it. Bigger drive up the hill would get it done, but no, there's not enough time to get to the next right-hander. Reed's still there. Boy, they throw a lot of dirt at those big 4 strokes.
Now, Ricky's got to get sick of eating that. I mean, like I said, it hurts and it ruins your goggles and it makes a mess of your face and your gear and just it's miserable. So when you're all over a guy like that, you want to get by him. You need to either give yourself a little cushion so his roost isn't blasting you, like Dick Cheney on a hunting trip, or get by him. You know, do something quick.
He's up behind him right now, but the turn is just too slow. Now it's an uphill drag race, a little bit of air, another scrub. Boy, these guys are putting on a show. I'm going to have to admit I didn't think it would last this long.
Oh, you got to hand it to Reedy. He's riding awesome. A lot of people just assumed this would be a snoozer with James gone, but Chad's stepped up, and he's going to give Ricky a run for it today.
Carmichael still looking for a way around that blue bike. In the air, he makes up some ground. It's going to be a right-hander coming up next. Reed's blocking that. This is an off-camber turn here. Up the hill again, another drag race against gravity.
It's so hard to stay focused when you keep seeing a front wheel pop in, inside here, outside there. It makes you want to start cutting your lines, shortening them up a little bit, blocking the inside. And when you do that, you lose momentum through the turn, you lose speed, and your lap time will drop. And then Ricky's all over you even more. So you just can't win when you got him all over you like this.
Carmichael still trying hard to stay out of the roost and make a pass. Those are two very difficult things to do at the same time. He's inside a block. Oh, that looked familiar.
Wow.
Bang! And Ricky Carmichael is your leader.
I don't even think he had separated from Chad, and he grabbed the tear off in the gear, and he was gone.
So Ricky Carmichael with a little bit of contact. Won't call it a rude move, but it was definitely forceful. And I think he wasn't being patient. He just couldn't get around Chad Reed until right then.
Yeah, I think Reed was just riding that well, that there was no place else for him to make a pass, and he had a little bit of a gap. You could see Chad came into the turn a little wide, and Ricky was right there, so he took it. You can't give RC that much room.
Now the question is, does Chad Reed have any fight left in him to try to bring it back?
Well, Ricky's made a couple of mistakes this year. Went down at Hangtown, went down at Southwick. You know, if you're Reedy, you try to stick right with him, make him continue to ride a fast pace, and maybe he bobbles and goes down, you get the win. You get the overall on the day.
Well, the course is getting awful torn up, and something different might present itself around the next corner here. The ruts are getting deeper, the berms are getting softer and higher, and things are definitely changing. Whoa, big air there. And Carmichael on his way. We think perhaps to another moto win, but you never know. Here at Budds Creek or in a motocross national in general. Things can and have happened this season, mostly to James Stewart. As Carmichael leads, we're going to get another look at the pass.
Yeah, Reed just goes a little wide. I mean, he didn't leave a ton of room, but he went out to that berm, and Ricky just got in, and I gave him a little bump, pushed him outside the line, and that was it.
An NHL hip check, good enough to take the lead. And let's see if RC's good enough to keep it. Here's the number 11, Travis Preston. And it's still a Honda battle going on for 5th position at the moment. Kevin Windham.
Kevin again working his way up from somewhere in the back. He wasn't in that lead group of 5 or 6 there at the start, and I'm not sure exactly where he gated, but it wasn't at the front. He needs to start with these guys to finish with him.
So a top 5 at issue here between Travis Preston and Kevin Windham, both on Hondas. We'll watch that battle because Ricky Carmichael seems to be pulling away. Here goes K-Dub around the outside, and the long way around works as the 14 gets in front of the number 11 Travis Preston there, and that's 5th place.
Now you know you got good corner speed when you can go all the way around somebody who's on the inside and make the pass.
Kevin Windham gets the same big air that we saw Ricky Carmichael at that stretch of the racetrack, puts Travis Preston behind him. It's not likely that he'll be able to get another position. It's a ways forward to the next man on the ladder. Here's our Toyota leaderboard. He's got to catch Nick Way on another Honda. And by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, personal watercraft, and scooters. Oh, the number 118 on a Honda, Davey Millsap's running in 3rd position. Behind him, it's Nick Way and Kevin Windham. Millsap's looking good to hold on for yet another podium spot.
This kid's got a ton of talent. There's no denying that. He's been rewarding Honda. They were not sure about putting him in this class, and doesn't look like it was a mistake now. He's been solid for those guys. A couple crashes here and there, but I think that was expected. He's going to go through a little learning curve.
Most of the crashes seem to come in the opening round, and he seems to have more or less cured that problem since then.
I think he got them all out of the way at Hangtown. He crashed about a dozen times.
There's the number 27. That is Nick Way. He's running in 4th spot. That is who Kevin Windham would have to catch in order to take the position. And there's a lot of room, a lot of real estate. There was anyway, but here comes K-Dub right out of the blue to run up behind Nick Way. And Kevin Windham indeed has got that come from the back thing down. And better starts, he might be up front.
Well, you know, Kevin's got a little bit more speed than Nick. I don't think that's the issue here, but he comes from the back, and like I said, you just can't catch the leaders doing that. So Nick's got the fitness. He's not going to back off of Kevin this whole race. He works with Randy Lawrence just like Ryan Villapoto does, and those guys have got a very solid program. Nick's very fit, and as a top privateer in the sport, I mean, he's sort of better than a lot of the factory riders in that sense.
So Nick Way trying to fight back here as Kevin Windham has taken the spot from him. Came up from behind, might have caught him by surprise just a little bit. And Davey Millsaps out of the race, down on the track, and being 10-2, which means he's not going back in this one.
Yeah, it's not good. Usually if you're staying down, that means something's hurting. So hopefully he just knocked the wind out of himself or something minor.
Ricky Carmichael way out in front, not challenged or even checked, not even in sight of the next bike. And this is the final lap of Ricky Carmichael out in front. Let's take another look at a replay from a bit earlier in the race.
Hey, the circus is in town.
The number 727, that is Kevin Brodsky from Hanover, PA. Apparently just a little excited at the sight of Ricky Carmichael. Good for him.
I don't mean to laugh at his misfortune. That just was funny to me.
Well, I think we wouldn't have shown it if it wasn't at least entertaining, and even he might laugh at it, considering that he wasn't injured. But Ricky Carmichael, you know, he will put the scare in you like that. He'll put the mojo on you when he comes by.
Yeah, he definitely freaked that dude out. He was going straight. I didn't see any reason for problems there, and all of a sudden he was cartwheeling across the finish line.
And hanging on for dear life. That was a Bronco Billy ride of the highest order, but Carmichael is putting on a show here for the fans. Yes, it's all alone. He's looking back, looking around, and maybe planning his victory move at this point. It's going to be a nice big wheelie, and Ricky Carmichael will go no hands across the line. 1-1, take both motos in the overall. He keeps his undefeated streak here at Budds Creek Motocross Park alive in the finest way possible.
Yeah, you got to wonder if that gets boring for him. I mean, he's won so many races. Does it get old, or is it always fun?
Well, I think it's fun as long as you're winning, and for Ricky Carmichael, he's still winning. Comes Roger DeCoster up. And we'll take a look at the moto results here from Budds Creek. Carmichael, Reed, and Wyndham, three of the big heavy hitters at the top of the chart, with Nick Way and David Villeman rounding out the top five. Nice race here, moto number 2. It started out pretty exciting and ended up the way the first one did.
Well, it's been a while since we've seen him up here. Kev, you made it happen this weekend. Big changes for you this weekend. New mechanic, you got your family here supporting you on Father's Day.
Yeah, what a great weekend. You know, it's been so long since I've been able to get up here. You know, my broken arm in the Supercross season, and just took forever, man. These guys are really riding awesome. It was due to some bad luck. I think I might could have ran Millsap down, but man, he was riding strong. I'm just happy to be up here.
Our overall results from the motocross here at Budds Creek. Carmichael again with a 1-1, of course.
Well, it's a great ride for Kevin. He's to come from that far back each time and still get on the podium is a great ride.
Well, he's mentioned through the season that he's had a tough time struggling to get his rhythm. Chad, it looked as though you were able to get your rhythm here this afternoon.
You know, I told you guys I was been working on it, and it's definitely a little better. You know, I struggled on my starts this weekend, and man, I was horrible, but I was always somewhat pretty good out of the first turn and second turn, and then just strong for the first 4. And man, I'm real happy about that. You know, like I said, Ricky's the guy, and you know, led a few laps, felt good, held on a little bit, and I'm just super pumped to get out there and actually see the leaders, you know, the whole race.
We'll take a look here at the point standings for the 2006 outdoor season. Carmichael with a 20-point lead now over Chad Reed, and as long as they finish first and then second, it'll stay like that and get bigger.
Well, he's got him within 25 points, so if Ricky ever drops a moto, has a DNF, Reed's leading the points. The Racer X Hole Shot Award, they come into the first turn, and it's Brazilian Antonio Balbi Jr. that gets the money, $500 from Racer X Illustrated.
And he managed to stay out front at least for a little bit, but RC won the race.
I almost had the hole shot, but somebody drilled me from behind, and man, I wanted that holy, but you know what, that's the way it goes. Made a lot of improvements on the bike today with the way it's working, so super happy and looking forward to a weekend off in Redbud.
Bit of an aggressive pass on Chad Reed. Explain that.
Yeah, you know, this track is just, there's one line, it's like cushion, you know, and I tried to be as nice as I could, but it's hard to do it at that level.
Congratulations on yet another victory.
Thank you.
Well, Ricky is definitely the GOAT. I don't know if I'd go so far as to tattoo his name on my body, but that guy thought it was a good idea.
Carmichael on his way to another championship and still undefeated here at Budds Creek. Yes, the greatest of all time. You could make a very definite argument for that. And Ricky Carmichael. Well, we'll take a week off and look forward to Red Bud 2. So for Aaron Bates and David Pingree, I'm Brian Drever.